Welcome to the tutorial on setting up Google Forms for IEP data collection. Here's what you will learn in this video. Setting up Google Forms for data collection, exporting data to a Google Sheet, and creating graphs, optimizing your Google Forms, and using QR codes for easy access. We will also briefly walk through a tool called AbleSpace to collect IEP data. Let's get started. Open forms.google.com in the browser and open a blank form. Let's say we will be taking the IEP goal data for a student named Jack. First, we'll do the initial setup, where we will create a password because we don't want any unauthorized access to our Google form. Click on this drop-down option and select the short answer type. Click on the three dots here and select Response Validation. Select Regular Expression from here. Then choose Matches. And here, we can type the password. Let's say, Jack123 is our password. Be sure to make this a required question. Next, we can add a field for the name of the professional taking the data. Then we can create a date field so that we know when they took this data. Next, we will create a separate section for IEP goal tracking. Having a separate section will ensure that only users who enter the correct password get access to this section. Now we can move ahead and add a field in this section. So over here, let's add some goals and say, we start with a reading goal. Jack will spell all the characters in his name. Click on the drop-down and select checkboxes. Now enter JACK as options. Now let's add one more goal and say we add a math goal like Jack will add 5 sets of 2-digit numbers. Now we expect Jack to add 2-digit numbers and we'll give him 5 questions and we would want to know how many he got correct. To the response, let's add a validation that's a number between 0 and 5. This validation ensures we won't be able to take data less than 0 or more than 5. Next, let's add a behavioral goal. Say, Jack will shake hands with 2 of his friends in 2 or less prompts. Let's say one friend is named Aaron and another one is Ted. Select Multiple Choice Grid from the drop-down, as we also want to capture how many prompts we gave. Here we can capture the number of prompts. Now, against a session, we might want to add a note as well. So let's add a question to capture notes. We have set up our Google form. Now let's see how it looks in the preview section by clicking on the top right. We can test it now. Firstly, we will try to enter an incorrect password. It'll give an error. Now let's enter the correct password and enter who will be taking data. Select Date. Next, we can fill in the details. For example, Jack was able to say J, A, and C correctly. And here, he answered 3 questions correctly. With Aaron, it took 1 prompt, and say with Ted, it took 2 prompts. Now, we'll just add another set of responses. Enter all the fields again and click Submit. Now we can go to the response section, and we can see all the responses here that have been submitted. The names of people who took the data, and the dates on which the data was taken. You can also create your own custom graphs. To create your custom graph, go to this option, Link to Sheets. This will export all the responses that have been submitted into a Google Sheet. This is how all your exported data will look like. Now, you can create various graphs depending on your meetings. For example, we will create a graph for the goal. Jack will add 5 sets of 2-digit numbers. We will put the date on the x-axis and the data on the y-axis. Now click on Insert, then select Chart from the drop-down list. We can see a neat-looking graph coming up here. You can select the type of chart you want to create from the options available here. You can even customize your graph from here. Now I will show you how you can further optimize this form and also generate QR codes. But before that, let me quickly show you how you can do the same thing with another tool called AbleSpace. You can Google search AbleSpace or just type ablespace.io in your browser. Create your free account, fill in your details, and sign up. You should land in a dashboard that looks something like this. We'll just go ahead and add a student named Jack Sparrow. Now click on the student, go to the Goals section, and add the goal. Let's add the same goals that we had added in our Google form. Jack will add 2-digit numbers. We want to measure accuracy in this goal, so let's select that. Now add another goal. We will use the task analysis option here, since we have to track individual task completion. This was a reading goal. Jack will spell all the characters in his name. And the options were JACK. Click Save. And now we'll add our third goal. That was a behavior goal. Jack will shake hands with 2 of his friends in 2 or less prompts. This time, we will choose Task with Prompts, since we are tracking both task completion and prompting levels at the same time. And here we will enter the same options as earlier in the Google Forms. Now we have our goals. We can just go ahead and take data on them. Let's say Jack answered 3 questions correctly and 2 incorrectly. So there's an accuracy of 60%. Now take data for the other goals as well. You can also capture data for multiple trials by clicking over here. In Google Forms, to do the same, you would have to submit the form again, starting with the password, which takes a lot of time, or just record the average accuracy across all the trials. Once you have recorded the data, it'll automatically create the graphs. We can see how Jack has performed over time. You have the option to view the data in different types of graphs. In this graph, we can see that Jack is doing good on J and A, but not so well on C and K. It is also easy to collect data in a group session. You can simply add more students and take data for them. Based on the data collected, AbleSpace auto-generates a variety of reports, such as this goal report summarizing progress on different goals. You can print this report and share it with a parent or take it to your next IEP meeting. You can also invite assistants, fellow teachers, and therapists to the platform and share students with them. They would be able to take data easily on their devices. AbleSpace is easier to set up and is optimized for data collection. Now coming back to Google Forms. If you want to make this form even more modular, you can break it into different sections. We'll now create separate sections for different kinds of goals, but you can structure them in whichever way works best for you. This would be helpful when we are working on one type of goal at a time and would like to collect data just on that. Let us show you how we do that. First, let's add a new section. We'll have all our math goals over here. Next, let's add another section for behavior goals. Create another one for notes. We'll just rename our first section to Reading Goals. Now let us drag the questions into their relevant sections. To move a question, just click and hold the question from the top center and then drag it to their correct position. We'll just go ahead and move all the goals to their relevant sections. Let's move the question for notes to the Notes section. Now let us add another question where we did the initial setup. We'll use this to control the flow of our form. We'll ask, which goals will you be working on? Now we'll add all the sections as options: reading, math, behavior. Now to link the response to the relevant section, select this option. Go to section based on answer and link the responses. Now if someone selects reading, this will take them to the reading goals section. If someone selects math, they will go to the math goals section, and the behavior option would take them to behavior goals. We can even control where the person would go after every section. Let's say we want to send everyone to the notes section. Once they have collected their goal data, we will select notes section over here. Let's see how our form looks now. Click on Preview to test the form. We'll fill in all the details. We say work on reading goals. The form took us to the reading section. We'll select the response and submit. Now it took us to the notes section. So, it's working perfectly. Now we'll just add another set of responses. Now we will show you how to share this form so that other members of your team can take data as well. Press Send at the top. Now select the option for link over here. Select the option, shorten the URL so that it's easier to share that way. Now you can copy and share this link with your collaborators. They would be able to take data easily on their devices. Sometimes it can get tricky to access the correct form when taking data for a student, especially if you have a large caseload. This is where QR codes can come in handy. You can generate a unique QR code for each student, stick them near the student desk, and scan them for easy access to the correct form. So let's go through how to create this QR code. Simply search for QR code generator on Google. We can choose this QR code generator website. Now fill in the link over here and simply download this QR code. You can now print and use this QR code to access your form. We will add the link to the Google form we created in the description below. Hope you found this useful. If you have any questions, feel free to email us at support@ablespace.io.